Hey everyone, Kevin here once again with my 123 cents, and I'm in St. Louis for the weekend, and it's my hometown, it's where I grew up, and it got me to thinking back on my childhood and remembering the good old days of wrestling, if you will, watching Wrestling at the Chase on KPLR, Channel 11. For folks who are from the St. Louis area, they will remember those days very vividly as well, I'm sure. And, growing up, I went to my first house show, if you will. My first wrestling matches ever, live matches, were, it was a WWE house show, and it was in December of 1984, and it involved, the main event was Brutus Beefcake versus Hulk Hogan. Now, of course, that was WWF, and, those were some great memories that I hold near and dear, but really, St. Louis was a hotbed of wrestling back then, for the NWA especially. And I remember going to a couple of different shows here as well in 1985. Main event, Ric Flair in both of the main events. One was against Kerry Von Erich, who, if you read my blog, know that Kerry Von Erich was one of my all-time favorites. And he and Flair wrestled a match here, and Flair ended up getting disqualified. He threw Von Erich over the top rope, which of course was a disqualification. I was so looking forward to Kerry regaining the NWA Heavyweight Championship. It had been about a year since he had held that title, so I thought for sure he was going to get his revenge and win the belt back. Obviously, I was 12 years old at the time, so you know what it's like to be a kid and a wrestling fan, and how that magic is still there for you. So another time, Flair wrestled King Kong Bruiser Brody. One of the all-time great big men in this business, one of the all-time greats in my opinion, and really hope that one day he gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But again, that match ended in a DQ as well. Flair, I think, threw Brody over the top rope in that match as well. It seemed like a way to end a lot of Flair's matches, especially when they came through here in St. Louis. And guys like Dick the Bruiser, Wahoo McDaniel, Sam Munchnick was a promoter by that point. He wasn't really wrestling anymore. Those guys just brought something different. It was, they weren't like the guys that you saw on WWF. They weren't the cartoonish kind of images, which, don't get me wrong, I love WWF, always have, always will, but there was something different about the NWA and the guys that wrestled in Missouri. There was a Missouri State Heavyweight Champion. Harley Race won that title several times, and the Von Erich brothers would come to St. Louis a lot and wrestle. Scott Hall, before he was known as Scott Hall, he was part of the Starship. I think their American Starship was their name. It was he and Danny Spivey, and they teamed up. So, a lot of guys got their start kind of wrestling in this area, in this region, and then went on to bigger and better things. And, I miss those days of watching Wrestling at the Chase. Larry Madison was the commentator, and if you Google it or YouTube it, you'll find some of the stuff with him. And obviously not the most lively and energetic announcer of all time, but there was just something about him and his voice and just the way, I don't know, I can't explain it. You can't recapture those memories, I guess, and that's why they are memories. But I do have a lot of great memories of St. Louis and of wrestling in this area. So if you're from the St. Louis area, hopefully this brought back some memories for you as well. And once again, thank you for watching my 123 cents.